Hello people, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Expert shares 3 reasons XRP failed to hit its bullish 2025 targets. Okay guys, let's get into it. Okay, so the person in question here is Rector, and he's basically done a, I don't know if it was a post or a video, but he's basically shared his feelings as to why XRP hasn't really performed the way it was anticipated to in 2025. So I'm going to go through these and give you my thoughts, and then I'm going to give you my reasons as to why I think that this has occurred. So let's get straight to it. So the first reason that we've got the late resolution to the SEC versus Ripple case. So it was officially ended around August. He's saying that basically, because it was ended so late, he believes that that had an impact as to why, XRP couldn't gain momentum. For me, with this one personally, I disagree with this one. And the reason why I say that is because I'm not saying that the resolution of the lawsuit couldn't have, helped. Because, when you're in a bull run, the littlest of things can set off price movement. So, for example, I believe it was like around November, December times when Gary Gensler announced his resignation. And as soon as he did, XRP just rallied like a huge amount of percent. And this was when we was like in the hype of it all, right? When XRP was first really starting to pump. And look, the thing with that is, like, while yes, that was obviously great for people to hear that Gary Gensler was going to resign, the logical move was that he was going to resign anyway. Why? Well, his party didn't win the election, right? Donald Trump won the election. So it's not likely you're going to get a Democrat SEC chair working for a Republican party, right? Because they're going to have disagreements, etc., right? So the actual resignation was inevitable. So we kind of knew that was going to happen. Yet when it did happen, sent the price into a frenzy. So at the end of the day, I do understand that these things can have an impact, but we saw the price impact and it really wasn't significant, right? And you've got to understand, like, the majority of this lawsuit at this point, we all knew it was done. Like, there wasn't really a lot to the lawsuit at this point to really be like reconciled. Like, it was pretty much done and dusted. We all knew it was pretty much over. There wasn't really a lot to it at this point. And I think this is why we didn't really see a lot of price action off of the back of the resolution of the lawsuit in the end, because for a lot of us, like, we were over it. Like, we kind of knew what had happened. We were settled and we knew that it was pretty much done. So there wasn't really a lot for us to really be excited about at that point, because we knew the lawsuit was pretty much done anyway. So I don't really think that had a big impact. Plus, we're talking August, at the end of the day, there's still been a good amount of months for XRP to still perform if that was going to have an impact. You know what I mean? It's not like it happened in November and we only had like a month left for it to try and perform. Like, that's not the case. So not really thinking I'm agreeing with that one personally. So the next one, we've got the late arrival of the XRP ETFs. Okay, I can kind of accept that one because with the ETFs, this is the thing with ETFs, right? ETFs can play a part in the price action, of course. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to be here saying that that doesn't have any kind of merit to it. But I'll say 2 things. One, obviously we're not really been in a bull run once these ETFs have got going. So at the end of the day, we was just coming off of this huge liquidation event that happened in October. A lot of these ETFs have come through now in November. The price action hasn't been great. So this is again where, the ETFs could have had a lot more of a positive impact had we have been in the environment of a bull run. The other thing is as well, the second thing is that you have got to understand with like the ETFs don't necessarily just equal price action straight away, right? Because it takes up over time. So it does help because, like for example, XRP had the best ETF inflows for 2025, bar none. That's literally what it got. But you don't just see the immediate price action off of the back of it, right? It takes time to actually see the price appreciate. So, yes, I can admit that maybe if like the ETFs were done a bit sooner, maybe that could have appreciated in value. But do I think that that's the catalyst? I'm not completely convinced of that personally, but I can definitely acknowledge that as a fair point to make. Okay, the last one is the Clarity Act still pending. So the Clarity Act is basically America doing the official guidelines for crypto as a whole. We've obviously had the Genius Act, which was the stablecoin bill. So now we're just kind of waiting for this Clarity Act, which will give the official rules of the road. I can actually understand this one as a bit of a valid point again. Do I think it's the sole catalyst again? No, I don't, but I can understand it as a fair point. I do think that once we do get the Clarity Act done, you know, the institutions can start coming in droves and they haven't got to worry about, you know, are they going to get any kind of legal scrutiny for investing or using these cryptocurrencies for whatever reason. As long as they're following the rules of the road, they'll be okay. And I think that is something that is holding back a lot of institutional adoption at this point. So I do think that's a fair point to make. Absolutely, because I do think that will change a lot, in all honesty. So yeah, I'd say that's a fair point to make. So all in all, I'd say two of the 3 points I would say are fair points to make. I think those are fair. The first one, in terms of the lawsuit, I'm not really buying that personally. But I want to get to why I think it hasn't happened, right? Why I think XRP hasn't performed. And so my reasonings are actually different to these, even though, as I say, those 2 points that he made, that Zach made, were valid. My reasoning is actually a little bit different. So for me, when I look at the market as a whole, it's not just XRP that hasn't performed, right? So let's think about what cryptos have really had a run. Bitcoin has obviously had its rally. So even though it might not be as good as what people would have expected, it still had a rally. XRP's had a rally, just about, you know, took over its previous all-time high, not really by a lot. Same with Ethereum. Ethereum had, you know, an all-time high run, but again, not a lot. I don't know all crypto, so I'm not going to sit here trying to like list them all off, but, you know, put it this way. The bull run as a whole, if this is the end of the bull run, has been hugely disappointing, right? So my thing is, if we're talking about it from the perspective of this bull run is over and we are now going into a bear market, or we are in a bear market as it stands, my thing is like, it's just following the rest of the market. You know, like there's not any crypto that I'm aware of apart from Zcash that's really had a bull run rally. Like Zcash is the only crypto that I'm aware of that had a bull run rally. And that shows you how like random this bull run has been, if this is the end of the bull run, because you've really only had, out of the whole, you know, however many cryptos that are out there, 20,000 plus, whatever, there's only one that you can really say has had a bull run style rally. Like Bitcoin has had a run, so we'll give Bitcoin its props. Not saying that XRP hasn't had a run, it has, but like to only just barely surpass your previous all-time high, that's not a bull run rally. You know, like when you look at Zcash's chart, the way it just shoots up, like that's what we're looking at when we talk about a bull run rally. That's the kind of price action we're talking about for what a bull run is expected to do. So while I will say, hey, it was great to see XRP get up to $3, if that is its ultimate end thing, you know, its end price for this bull run, that's disappointing. Absolutely it is. I'm not about to sugarcoat it at all. But what I will say is, I'm not going to just blame it on XRP, because I can look at Ethereum, hasn't really had a rally. I can look at HBAR, hasn't really had a rally. I can look at Cardano, hasn't really had a rally. I can look at XLM, hasn't really had a rally. I can look at AVAX, hasn't really had a rally. Do you see what I mean? Like I can go on and on. The point that I'm making is, this isn't XRP specific. So while I will be disappointed in XRP, I was never expecting this to be a thing where, you know, if the whole market doesn't perform, XRP will just be the sole one that just outperforms everything and that's it. Like I just didn't expect that. Like I think the whole thing with Zcash is very random. Well, it is to a degree. I mean, it's privacy coins, right? Privacy coins are going to have a place. And I think people are realizing that now as they're starting to understand what crypto, you know, what can come along with crypto. So I do kind of get it, but I'm surprised that that's the only crypto that's really had a real run. Like that is still really bizarre, you know? So at the end of the day, I'm not going to just put it on XRP. So the other thing I'll say here is, and this is, you know, looking more to the hopeful side of this, and that is that, you know, maybe we are actually in an extended bull run. And so maybe we are still ranging here. and we are still going to have a bull run, but maybe it will be in 2026. Maybe we'll start to see it all happening in like January, February 2026. I hope that's the case. That would be for me the best case scenario, and so we still do get a bull run. But I don't know. Like, I'm not here to say I have any kind of certainty one way or the other. I really don't know at this point. I'm unsure, but I am hoping for that. And so, the other thing I'll just say as the final thing is the whole October liquidation event. Look, the liquidation event, as far as I'm concerned, it was a manipulated event. It was to get out a lot of leverage traders. It was, so someone could do insider trading and make a lot of money under Donald Trump. It was manipulated, and I've seen enough evidence for me personally to believe that. So that's just what I personally think it is. And so that could have just destroyed the whole momentum, because this is what you've got to understand, right? If people see things like this going on, like manipulation or, just huge dropouts like that, there's a lot of traders who probably just won't touch crypto no more. If they're seeing like, oh, well, this was clearly insider trading, they're going to just think, well, what's the point in me participating in crypto now? Because they can just take me out whenever they want to. Like, if they just want to spook the market to drop the prices, that's it. So how do we win now? So is it a thing where these bull runs going forward are going to be manipulated and controlled? Maybe we won't see these big bull runs anymore, right? Because you'll have, presidents or whoever, like people in big places of power, just manipulating the markets at their will. And so you're probably getting a lot of people now who will be thinking, I'm out of crypto. I've had enough. I don't want to deal with this no more. And people who were using leverage and whatnot, they could have been in the position to like really benefit from that bull run, because Bitcoin was at $126,000. And if that had have gone ahead and carried on to new all-time highs, who knows? We could be sitting here now and this could have been the absolute height of the bull run. We'll never know, right? We'll just never know. Like, maybe it was going to happen, whatever the reasoning, but we don't know. That's the point. We just don't know. And so I think there's going to be a lot of people, like traders, for example, like if they were using leverage and stuff, like I heard people lost millions, So this was no joke of a situation. And if that was a manipulated event, which I think it was, a lot of people are going to just feel like they don't want to touch crypto no more because it's not fair. Do you see what I mean? And so when I think of all these, situations, this is why I think, XRP hasn't performed. But again, I don't look at it as XRP specific. I've got like 20 different cryptos, right? XRP was one of the only ones that's really performed to any kind of degree. Like, I've got my 5, which have done okay. And again, with XRP, it's done okay because it went to like $3. But I've got like 20, and a good majority of them haven't performed at all. They've not really moved. So this is where it's like, as much as I can say I'd be disappointed in XRP if this bull run's done, at least XRP did something. Like, I've got a lot of cryptos that haven't done anything. So again, I can't really just be mad at XRP here. So yeah, if you ask me, that's my reasoning as to why this hasn't happened, why it hasn't hit its, potential targets as to what, I've seen. And I guess we'll have to see. Like I say, my main hope here is that we are just going into an extended cycle, and that, come 2026, we'll start to see, this action happening. It is going to be really bizarre if we don't have an alt season, because for me, if that is the case, I think at this point, it's time to really review crypto as a whole in terms of the general thought process of, you have your bull run, you get your alt season, you make your money. Because clearly that type of thought process, that cycle of 4-year cycle, Bitcoin rallies, then it goes into alt season, and then you're done. Them kind of days would seem to be over, if you ask me, because clearly that's happened, some say twice now, because some say the 2021 bull run, we didn't really have an alt season. I personally disagree with that, because the price action that I saw from the previous bull run, to me, was amazing, but that was the first bull run I'd been in, so maybe if we're comparing it to 2017, that's why they're probably looking at it differently. But to me, this is what I would call not having a bull run. Like, if this ends now, and this is the end of it, and we don't get anything from, alt season, this is what I would call not having an alt season. 2021, I would say that we had an alt season. This, I would say, we clearly didn't, because you can't just have like 4 or 5 cryptos going off and call that an alt season. That's just not what it is. when I was in 2021, in that bull run, there was still so many things that was blowing off crazy. Like really crazy profit was being made. It was absolutely amazing to me. So I can't even imagine what it would have been like in 2017, because 2021 to me was insane. So in this one, yes, there's been an opportunity to take some profit with some of my cryptos, but not a lot, and nowhere near to what I would have expected. And so this is why I say, like, we're in uncharted territory right now, and I don't know which way this goes. I don't know how this ends, but we will see. We will see. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it overall. We'll see how things pan out. As I say, it's not the end of the year yet, so things could change. You never know. But yeah, that's my thoughts. We'll see how things go. I'm hoping for next year to bring on some positive price action. But if not, I guess we just have to review where we are with crypto as a whole, because we're clearly in different times now, and I think the general thought process we have of these cycles, it's changing. Clearly that would be the case if that's what happens. So let's see how things go, but those are my thoughts. Thank you very much for watching this. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell. Take care.